So I'm here at the federal courthouse after the Lil Durk hearing, and we just had some very, very interesting information about, possibly the most well-known alleged cooperator in this case, OTF Jam. Now, there was a crazy back and forth where they brought up a bunch of things about Jam. They said that the song Back Again was going to be used. I'm not going to lie, I was happy to hear that because that's like one of my favorite songs. But obviously, in that song, he talks about, Jam got out that jam, I gave him 50,000, he ain't got to ask again. Well, they're basically saying that Jam is going to testify and cooperate and say that 50,000 that Durk gave him that he rapped about in Back Again, which bear in mind was made before King Von even died. But Jam is going to testify and say that he believes that he was given that money basically as like a, as a show of loyalty to basically kind of get, some kind of like future, as basically not like a prepayment, but basically like on the hopes that in future he might be able to do things for him, he might be able to slide for him. Now, what's crazy is that he's allegedly gonna testify that actually when they were filming a music video, at some point, okay, this is absolutely crazy. At some point, all right, Durk and a bunch of the other members apparently confronted Jam in a bathroom. They took him into the bathroom, which is super weird, and they apparently confronted him, and they basically said, "You move in too hot, you're gonna get us jammed up. You got to be more careful about committing murders, and you're gonna get the feds on us." Now, apparently that wasn't talking about the Pab murder. Apparently there's other murders, and it sounds like he's actually going to admit to the feds that he was doing all kinds of murders that haven't even been prosecuted by the sounds of it, not even related to this murder, and that he was basically a top hitter in OTF and for the Black Disciples, and that it was really that serious, and Jam was doing all that. So Jam's name came up a couple times. So another area where Jam was brought up, they basically talked about this federal freestyle, and they said that, it's funny because the prosecutors literally said, look, Jam wasn't known as a good rapper. He was known as a hitter, a killer for OTF and for the Black Disciples. He was known as a Black Disciple hitter, and that's why he was put on this federal, ironically named federal freestyle, and that was basically as like, as a favor for Jam. They were saying that was almost like to solidify his place in the ranks of OTF and the dirt that he was going to or had already committed for the crew. And they basically said that apparently Jam is going to testify that he was in the federal freestyle, and that he basically is going to say that, look, he felt like if he didn't do the murder, if he didn't participate in this hit, that he felt like he wouldn't be included in these there's all types of sirens going on right now. It's crazy. That basically that they feel like Jam said that he didn't feel like he would have been included in all the OTF things that were going on, these opportunities, if he hadn't participated in that murder. And the last thing I'm going to say is that they said outright that apparently Jam was recruited for the Lil Pab murder by Booney Mo, and they basically said that Booney Mo had said to Jam specifically that Durk, but referring to him as Blood, he wants to fly you out for this murder. And apparently that's all going to be testified to. That's not looking great, to be honest with you guys.
Well, if that ain't enough, the feds drop a crazy bombshell that we got to get into. Let's go. Durk, 8/18, final pretrial hearing. A lot of info from today, mainly about exhibits government wants to use in trial. If the theory that this murder is connected to a gang should be allowed, which relates to what exactly government's gang experts should be allowed to testify about. And I'm going in that order of how it was discussed. So shout out to Mel. Y'all know we're going to give it up over here every time, Anyways, exhibits 41 through 2, autopsy of Sylvain Robinson, aka SR. Government, we had to prove, even though it's not contested, that SR died by gunfire. We need to show the whole story. Still, the pics aren't necessary. Jurors will know he died by gunfire. Judge, will be decided by end of the day. Exhibit 148. Screenshot of Von wearing OTF and O-Block chains. Government shows who Von was, a connection to Durk. Durk withdrew opposition. Will be admitted. Of course that would be, but okay. Exhibit 52 and 59. Photos of Durk and Wilson with cash. Government. One of the first leads LAPD had on this murder was X152, a post from Wilson's Instagram, and it had PW1 in it. PW1 will testify about both photos and that money in photos was split amongst shooters. Admitted. PW1 came up a lot today. X156, well, exhibit, either or. Witness will testify that hand signals were created for Von, and these screenshots from pissed off video is Durk throwing up those hand signs. 156, admitted. 182, screenshot from O-Block is Hot Fest Wilson filmed December 2021. Government wants it in because PW1 was present for shooting of this video, was wearing orange sweatshirt in it. PW1 is confronted by Durk and co-conspirators in the bathroom at this shoot, told that he was being reckless with his crimes and can't be out here committing murders. You're going to get us caught up in the feds on us. Admitted. Exhibit 183. Photos of Wilson throwing up gang signs. Government. PW1 is jail, so it is what it is. Will testify the signs are disrespectful to another gang. Under submission, admission will be dependent on how judge rules about overall gang issue. Exhibit 220, voice memo from 2023. Well after murder of Booney Mo instructing Jam that at direction of Durk. Judge previously allowed this in, but now has concerns about it because it's a million years after the murder. Government says it shows that Durk gives orders under submission. I mean, he probably gonna let that one in. Anyways, Exhibit 219, text between Durk and Wilson. Government. It's basically an admission. It's Durk and Wilson upset that O-Block didn't take revenge into their own hands. Durk says something to the effect, these guys aren't even sliding for Vine, leaving it up to us under submission, which I think that's going to be let in. Anyways, Exhibit 10, video that shows officers on scene after shooting. Still, it's a video of a man perishing before our eyes. They want it in for sympathy, under submission. I think that should be out. Then Exhibit 170, podcast clip of Tekashi 6ix9ine interview with Wack 100. Government. PW2 will testify that this clip blew up the concept of Slide for Vine. Everybody saw this and Durk was aware of it. Admitted.
Pull me out. They know the exact same. I'm not bringing this off topic. Let me just get this on my chest. They know the exact nigga that put a fucking 10 bullets in King Von and he died there by himself. Why nobody slid for that nigga? I don't see you on Instagram saying, yo, go slide for that man. Listen, y'all know what y'all saying? Yo, y'all want this nigga to crash out. I'm gonna be real with you. No. Hold on. Hold on.
Wait, hold on.
I go hit the nigga that kidnapped me.
Hold on.
Why this nigga not shooting the nigga that killed King Von, nigga?
Let me be real with you. I don't see you on Instagram saying, yo, Durk, go slide for your man. I discovered King Von.
No. I don't want to talk about King Von.
So
why
I don't know.
I
don't know no politics.
And listen, why is this nigga not sliding on the nigga?
How you know what they doing? Just because it ain't publicized on social media, how you know? How you know? If we didn't have this conversation, how you know I didn't try to get that man shot numerous times?
Now, I'm gonna be honest. The feds are saying what? That God dang, Tekashi 6ix9ine made them crash out? Me personally, that doesn't even make sense to bring that in there. But I guess they're saying because Tekashi was an informant that he would know better than, he ain't even from Chicago. He ain't stay in Georgia. None of this shit. So, why are they bringing this in? I get it. Because the way that Tekashi is speaking, I'm surprised they didn't bring in that part when he's going, hang. Wrote 209, government. It's a text chain weeks after Von was killed where Durk says, I'm not celebrating New Year's because my dog is dead and nobody is doing anything. Rondo out there acting like they don't have nothing to worry about, even though we got the location. Cooperating witness will testify about this text. But that kind of helps Durk because if that's the case, why ain't nobody go do anything? Text chain around the time of OTF, Trap House got raided. Government. Durk and co-conspirators believe that Jam was cooperating with the feds. Turns out he was. And that cooperation led to several search warrants being executed on that house. Because of the suspicion, Durk said, delete this thread. Another co-conspirator said, make sure to delete from iCloud. Judge concerned this thread could have been about drugs, not murder. How government can prove it was about murder under submission. Moving on to motion in limine number 6. Government was told to pick 2 songs out of 19 they wanted. See below tweet. Judge, me and the law clerk debated which 2 you would pick. So which are they? Government selected. Back again. Jam get on that, and still run it. Both admitted. Back again. Jam get out that jam. I give him 50. Ain't got to ask again. Yeah, I didn't know she was finna write that. But yeah, they probably played that shit. Anyways, government, PW1 was incarcerated and Banks was providing financial support to him and gave him cash when he got out. He was catching murders way back then, back when Mac was in. PW1 will testify his favorite gun was a Mac. That's insane. Still running. You must be out your mind. You think we not spending for bro, we spending for show. That rose better be bulletproof, little nigga. You know we gonna shoot at them stars. Rondo did interview on November 6th where he was in a rose. Gang argument, defense. This case was initially about murder for hire. they can't prove the bounty, and now they're trying to make it a gang case. And if it really is about revenge for Von's death, that wasn't even about gangs. It was either about a music dispute or a girlfriend. They want the jurors to associate the defendants with a gang, so they will believe they are guilty. Still, the gang expert is to send chills down the spine of the jury. Spooky, scary, gang members. Government puts up Exhibit 115 on screen. It's a text message that they say shows the case is about gang activity. I don't know who the text was to, but in the text, Durk says, real gangster. Response, for sure went out gangster. Durk, I gotta go all out for him. What the hell? That don't mean shit. That means, bro, if your homie either died or your homie did something that y'all deemed commendable for the block, that's like, come on, bro. Anyways, government says Durk did this because Von was a respected gang member and there needed to be retribution for his death. The gang issue is under submission. My opinion, whatever the decision, it will have huge implications either way. It will be either a case about gang members committing a murder at the order of a leader or murder for hire done in revenge for a friend. Let's see if she got anything else. Anonymous jury officially ruled. Attorneys will know, defendants will not. That's fine. Durk's team withdrew their motion for defendants to know jurors' names. Attorneys only is fine. OMG, did y'all read all of this? Is this how the trial days will be? LOL, I'm done. Love you, Mel. Appreciate all the work you do, darling. Y'all make sure y'all go over there and follow her on Twitter for all the exclusive shit. Now, let's finish this off with Trap Lord Ross, please, because obviously he has something else he has to say that wasn't brought up, actually.
Okay, so just got out of court at the Lil Durk hearing, the last hearing before trial, and I'm not going to lie, Drew Findling might have just pulled the craziest move I've ever seen a lawyer pull. He was cooking. It wasn't the best news for Durk today, but with his billion-dollar lawyer, Drew, I don't know, he might just pull something out the bag. This was insane. So basically, there were a bunch of big arguments back and forth about whether, evidence of Durk's gang membership should be used. And the whole argument that was being made was that, look, Quando Rondo, Lil Tim, they were beefing with King Von over apparent girlfriend drama and music clearances. It was nothing to do with gangs. They said this BDGD gang war, Tay-Town, OTF, the Black Disciples, O-Block. He's saying that shouldn't be nothing to do with this. This is nothing to do with the gang. That's the other indictment. We've got this severed. We shouldn't be talking about the gang membership. He was making a very impassioned speech about all of this stuff, and I'll be real with you, Durk looked absolutely locked in. Everyone was mesmerized by Drew. He is a billion-dollar lawyer for a reason. He was absolutely crushing it up there. I'm not going to lie. He was really turning the tide. But what was crazy, and I want to be careful what I say in this, so I'm not going to say what definitely happened. I'm not going to say who's doing what. I'm just going to tell you the sequence of events, and I'm going to tell you some of the rumors and whispers that were going around the courtroom. Because after Drew made that absolutely insane speech, okay, it was announced that Durk plans to call witnesses. And after everybody said, 35 witnesses, that's insane, he's cooked. 35 witnesses is good, because if they could prove the murder, they wouldn't need 35 witnesses. Well, Durk's team, they turned around and said, in addition to the 4 expert witnesses we've already put forward, we got 25 witnesses we want to bring forward. Now, that was crazy in itself. But then what happened next absolutely floored everyone in the courtroom. Because the judge said, look, I've looked through your list of proposed witnesses, and I know that you guys don't want the prosecution to see this list. You guys are fighting to have this list secret right up until the moment it happens, and I might allow it. But he said there was one name on this list that really jumped out at me. This is so serious, we're going to have a private conversation now, and I shit you not. The judge literally played white noise so that you couldn't hear anything in the courtroom. All of Durk's lawyers went over and spoke to the judge privately, and everybody was whispering in the courtroom, who do you think this secret sensational witness is? People were saying, is it Quando? People were saying, could it be Lil Tim? Could it be somebody else? Could it be Durk's? Could it be Durk's dad? I had a theory. It was just my opinion. It was just my theory. I just remembered the fact that Drew Findling was King Von's lawyer back in the day, right? And so there were a few whispers amongst people saying, what if it's Drew? That's very unusual. The judge seemed like it was a very unusual move. And basically, that's what I was thinking. And then when they kind of turned the white noise off and everybody came back, it was interesting because the prosecution basically stood up and was like, look, we got a theory as to who it might be. And then the judge pretty much just said, like, yeah, I think it's who you think it is. And look, I don't know exactly what was said, but Drew Findling had a giant grin on his face when that exchange happened. So I ain't going to say who, I ain't going to say I don't know, but that would be crazy. He was King Von's lawyer back in the day when he was fighting the Atlanta case. So for Drew, the billion-dollar lawyer on Durk's team to testify would be nuts.
So did anybody get paid? I asked this question yesterday and people really ignored it. Where's the payment? the one payment that was given was to somebody allegedly because they was doing too much spending. Like, hey, bro, calm the hell down. Yeah, you do that for broke ass people. You know, if you got a homeboy, all he known for is stealing his shit or doing reckless shit, you go, hey, man, hey, listen, man, here's some money in your pocket. Stop that shit, bro. What are you doing? You making us hot. There's never in that mission that says, oh, I told him to go kill all these people, and now I'm paying him because what? Then he's going to get destroyed on that stand. 1,000,000% he's going to get destroyed on that stand because they say he got bodies and bodies and bodies and bodies and all this shit. But they never actually say, not one single time, man, bruh, Lil Durk paid him for all the bodies that he did. There's none of that shit that exists. So I'm trying to understand how in the hell does this even make sense? But this is how weak the case is. And I told y'all this shit. The shit is so weak that we are now talking about a murder for hire plot that was trash as hell, and now they can't do it. So what the feds are doing is they're trying to say, and this is their point, and it's a good point, that nah, bro, this is what they do. They shoot at people. They blah, blah, blah. They bang, bang, bang. All of this shit. So this ain't nothing but some shit that Lil Durk and them been doing. That's how it got all the way to California. That's the Fed's argument. The whole argument in a nutshell is that we're going to show y'all how dangerous this gang is. Durk is the leader of this gang. He pays some of his members. And hell, that's that. And the music opportunities, that's going to be because Jem is a trash ass rapper. They obviously don't listen to rap because there's a shit ton of trash ass rappers. They only like a lot of these rappers because of the quote unquote hood stories that they have. So that shit right there, that shit just threw me all the way off. So can the feds tell me one good Chicago rapper? Can they do that part? I'd be curious. Feds, who y'all got that's actually a good rapper for y'all? And I know some of y'all gonna be like, man, Nash, you over there caping and all this shit and everything and all that. Really, 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 really? Okay, all right, cool. If y'all believe that, didn't believe it. I have nothing to prove to y'all except for, can you show me where the money was paid? Can you show me the conversation that say I'm paying niggas to paint niggas and all this shit and everything like that? So I'm just trying to understand how the hell we even get here. Because you're making a whole entire OTF trial. But now it's a Banks Gang Enterprise trial. So when did Banks Gang Enterprise actually freaking start? And then we're hearing about a trap house. Do you know what a trap house is? A trap house typically is a place where you go to make money. Illicitly, of course, but that's what it's all about. Y'all ain't know that shit? Of course not. So now we're going to see how this shit plays out, but honestly, it is what it is. There have been shit popping up in certain spaces and places of people's houses having police around them and all of this shit to give off the illusion that this person should be scared. And I'm sitting up here looking at the Reddit and shit and going, how I know this person ain't the one putting this shit up here. Not only that, what is it that Jem is going to jail for? They say bodies and all this shit. Okay. I'm sorry. Can Durk beat this? Hell yeah. Is Jem going to be a good witness? Hell no. If I'm Drew Fillon, when I'm doing this freaking opening, I'm going to literally say, this case is supposed to be about this. The government is switching it to this. Why are they doing this when they don't have proof of this? The charge that you are supposed to give him is a murder for hire from somebody who was paid years before the damn murder. But I get it. Said it's just paid off and all this shit and everything. So y'all logic will escape y'all. Okay. Well, my case still stands. I still believe the feds have a weak ass trial. I still believe that the way in which they're going about all this shit is sinister as hell, but it ain't gonna work. But I'm only saying this about Durk. You guys are conflating me saying Durk is innocent with everybody else. Everybody else got a hard ass time to beat it. I think the feds then damn near did they shit on that one. But y'all let me know y'all thoughts on this one. I'd be curious. I'm gonna get in the paint with y'all. If you are saying that the prosecutors are or has made their case, put that shit in the comments and let's thug it up. I'm finna be on my phone. I'm finna go to war with y'all in these comments because I'm trying to understand. And please do not answer my question with a question. I will answer your question, but I will hit you back with a question. The moment that you ask it with the question, I'm no longer speaking. Have at it.